Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and to the continuation of Elemental Magic. We are now on Holy Grounds. Holy Grounds are places where the Earth Spirit manifests in some special or notable way. Across the world, such spiritual places are recognized by people and treated with care and reverence. Spirituality without a material base is barren and lifeless. Holy grounds enable us to be grounded spiritually, to honour the spirit of the place. People perform rites and ceremonies. They pray, sing songs, perform holy dances, leave offerings, construct altars, or erect sacred buildings there. There are certain places in the natural landscape whose spirit is more likely to be noted by humans. They are special places on mountains and hills, and notably rocks and stones in the landscape, groves of trees, sacred springs and holy wells, rivers, and places hallowed by our ancestors. They are all holy grounds, at which something intangible, but nevertheless real, is present. When they are treated with care by humans, holy grounds may be acknowledged as natural installed objects such as rocks, springs, and waterfalls. Or they may appear somehow different in a less tangible way. The grass may appear greener. There may be rare and unusual flora and fauna, or there may be inexplicable patches of bare earth. Trees may take unusual forms or grow together in a notable way. Birds and animals may be unusually friendly to human beings. When we encounter these differences, we can recognize the spirit or spirits of such places and commune with them. Those who enter holy grounds in the proper state of consciousness and with reverence have a better chance of harmonizing themselves with the unseen than do tourists who just go look and take photographs, for example. Springs and natural fountains are places of power in the land. Hot and healing springs have always been honoured, as they are even today. But not all springs are beneficial. Plutarch, the Greek philosopher and author, wrote, "Men are influenced by streams of varying power coming from the earth. Some of them drive people mad or cause disease or death. The effect of some others is good, healing and beneficial. But even the harmful ones have a right to exist, for the world is not for humans alone." Such places, too, are ensouled with their own individual natures. The nature of the indwelling spirit of a well or natural spring is often expressed in its name. Holy wells are dedicated to spiritual beings, gods, goddesses, and saints, whose local myths and legends frequently have something to tell us about the water's spiritual virtues. These beings and the qualities they symbolize can be recognized and honored by us. Because we live on Earth, we're sort of nurtured by her produce, aren't we? And we return to her at death. Symbolically, she is our mother. When we enter a natural cave, we're entering the body of Mother Earth. Caves are paradoxal places where we can experience darkness during daylight. Inside, the conditions change little, so they appear cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Caves, like springs, are places when we can contact the unseen inner realms. Within us, there is a dark unconscious that lies within the conscious mind. When we decide to enter a cave, we risk unknown encounters. By entering, we begin an exploration of the hidden underworld of the unconscious. There, we breathe underworldly air, a portion of the subtle cosmic breath that empowers all existence. For although they are dark, caves are places of vision. The natural magic of caves brings us into another dimension of awareness. Although we are awake and conscious, our perception is altered. Strange, unworldly sounds come from the depths of the earth. We may hear them as voices, the song of another worldly bird, or the breathing of Mother Earth. In a dark cave, we may begin to have hallucinations, or even inspired visions of otherness. If it is a traditional place of seership, and as we go into a meditative state, we may learn something useful from these visions. Historically, caves have been places inhabited by oracle giving prophetesses and relayed messages from the other world to the everyday world. In caves, these powers are open to us even as today. Trees are often significant witnesses to spirit, though they often possess characteristics that reflect the subtle qualities of the places at which they grow. Trees, distorted by wind or other natural forces, those of exceptional size, or those growing at remarkable locations, are likely to be spirit trees. So are individual examples of rare or unusual species. Such trees are often given names by local people and have rites and ceremonies performed at them at appropriate times. Certain kinds of tree are more likely to be inspirited than others. These are the trees that are most valuable in the natural magic world, such as the rowan, the elder, ash, linden, oak, and thorn. Orchids, places where fruit trees grow, are symbols of the otherworldly earthly paradise. And according to traditional spirituality, to cut down an orchid is an act of spiritual vandalism, bordering on blasphemy. Fruit trees, like the apple, a symbol of immortality, bring a peaceful and benevolent atmosphere to the land on which they grow. It is customary each winter to honour the apple tree, and that's still done as of today. Usually there's songs are sung and offering of food and drink are left near the tree for the spirit guardians of that particular orchard. The wild wood that appears in myth and legend was a reality in many places in former times. The ancient temperate hands were covered with dense, primal forests. Over the centuries, these natural forests have been cut down at the hands of humans, and little remains today except the names and the legends. As a potent symbol, however, the wild wood remains. Wildness is often viewed as a bad thing, a state of being out of control, but that is not so, for it represents a primal state of natural things, beyond the reach of human interference. The wild wood is a place of eternal elemented power, which those who may make contact with it, of course. If we return to the wild wood periodically, either in reality or through our inner journey, we are offered the chance of deep inner psychic renewal. In the wild wood, we can contact the wild man or wild woman within us, reconnecting ourselves with our inner instincts, with the elemental powers of the wild wood. This is done today in many different magical paths, not just sort of one path. It is actually done in many, not just this one. Animals make their own tracks across the earth, and so pathways predate the appearance of human beings. These tracks follow the best possible routes across the land, climbing hills in the most comfortable way and avoiding obstacles naturally. Ancient human paths and tracks doubtless followed the tracks of animals. They, too, are comfortable to walk, having been made in those times before maps and machines had priority. Natural magic recognizes ancient tracks, with their special characteristics, as places with potential power. They're not holy in their own right, but we must respect their particular energies. Certain spirituality, as active points on paths and trackways, known as stopping places, and they command respect from passers-by. They are often difficult places, either on the physical or on the psychic level. It is customary to say a prayer, sing a song, or leave an offering at those stopping places. When we do this, we acknowledge the spirit of the place and renew our inner strength to continue along the path ahead of us. This is especially important when we are about to ford a river, cross a treacherous bog, or ascend a steep slope. After successfully passing the danger, we stop to give thanks at the next spiritual stopping place. In certain country places, the old coffin paths may still be in existence. In former times, before funeral directors took over many aspects of funerals, dead people were carried in their coffin from their home to their place of burial. Many places had special paths that the pallbearers took to reach the graveyard. These were known by local people and they were only used for funerals. They were coffin paths. And it's thought that some were dangerous places, but one needs magical protection if you're going to go there, let's say from unwanted entities. And pathways of spirit, sometimes following animal tracks, can also be found in country districts. These are their local names and traditions, such as fairy tracks of Ireland, the Trod of Western England. At certain times, it is considered dangerous to walk along these tracks, for otherworldly beings will be travelling along them. The inhabitants of a house built on either a coffin path or a spirit way will be plagued with problems, so it's customary not to build there and definitely do not offend them. Crossroads are also magical places. There are places where the wayfarer must make a decision about which direction he or she must take. As central points, whose ways radiate in all directions, they provide access to the world above and the world below. Crossroads are good places to make magical changes. Using a ceremony, we can give away our harmful feelings at a crossroads and make a new start. Objects bearing harmful forces may be smashed there to dissipate their energies. Crossroads are transition points where we can decide which way to go. Gateways are also transition points, but they differ from crossroads in that we must turn back if we are not to enter them. Liminal areas on boundaries are the symbolic opposite of crossroads, for they are spiritually at the edge. They are the borderline cases, where the normal rules of behavior and existence may not apply. Magic is often conducted in these borderline regions, which include fords and bridges and crossing points, which are at the boundary between two distinct areas, a space which is neither one nor the other. The no man's land between opposing armies in warfare is an example. Binding magic is a means to tie up harmful or unwanted spirits or otherworldly entities present at the place. The focused concentration of tying and the convoluted form of knots work in the magical dimension, creating empowered objects. Now we look at the labyrinth. The labyrinth is a ritual pathway. It's laid out on the ground. It's in permanent form, it generally doesn't change. It leads the visitor inward from the everyday world to the centre, the place of one's own spirit. As a symbol, it is unique, for it can be made in any size. Ancient coins from Crete bear the labyrinth. Ancient ones were carved on rock faces. Medieval ones were cut in turf or laid out in mosaics in church floors. And today, wise women use stones inscribed with labyrinths to induce trances. There are a number of different traditional designs of labyrinths developed over the millennia. Their common feature is a single pathway that leads to a central point. The path has no dead ends, as in a garden puzzle mazes, so one cannot get lost. Some labyrinths have a path that winds its way to the centre, then out again. These are useful when people wish to run or dance a labyrinth together ceremonially. With a single entrance, the number of people who can enter the labyrinth is limited. With an entrance and an exit, then large numbers of people can experience the magic of the labyrinth together. Wherever they exist, labyrinths create an anchor energy. Although they are beautiful to look at, their true power comes when human beings are walking, running, or dancing through them, for then their spirit is energized by human activity. We who walk, run, or dance a labyrinth in a mindful spiritual way also experience transformed spirituality and better spiritual awareness. The spiritual protection of places may be spontaneous. There are no places said to be guarded at night by the ward, a watchful company of benevolent sprites that assembles at dusk at the place of power in the district. That's an old ancient tale, that there is things that ward you away from the area, and that can be true, so you have to be careful. They form sort of a protective spirit circle around the settlement or the area, preventing the entry of bad luck, harmful winds, evil spirits, and even humans sometimes. Except the ones that acknowledge and honour them, those they don't mind. They watch from traditional holy places in the landscape, small artificial mounds called ward hills, markstones, notable trees, gateways, crosses, and maples along the roads and paths leading into the settlement. Where these holy places are no longer recognised or have been destroyed, the place itself is wardless. That means it's open to all sorts of demonic interference and psychic attack. A wardless place. Well, then you have to use magical protection. Otherwise, it's going to have, let's say, uninvited things coming in there. There is a time and a place for everything. An Old English adage says that this is a significant magical observation. Location, timing, and appropriate action at a suitable place are the necessary ingredients of successful magic. When place, time, and person are in alignment, then remarkable things can happen. If one of these factors is inappropriate or missing, then nothing will happen. The art of magic is the ability to bring together these four factors in a very creative way. And that is the next part of your elemental magic, which, as you can see, you've just learnt all about the different grounds and areas which we tend to use as sort of spiritual areas, because they will have entities such as nature spirits and the fae and other beings in there, and you have to become friends with them and honour them in order to connect with that area anyway. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit the like, share if you can, and if you're not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Many blessings.